Dr. Dean Rust, a dentist by profession, living in Lancaster County, is also an avid conservationist and proponent of Bluebird. Dean monitors over or around 20 trails in several counties, including Lancaster, York, Dauphin, and Chester County. This totals over or nearly 400 nest boxes, which fledges over 800 bluebirds annually. Among Dean's other projects, he's been and is the president of the Pennsylvania Bluebird Society and is the author of the beloved and charismatic Bluebird, which Dean has very graciously given us a copy of to put in our library at Hershey's Mill. So it's a pleasure that I welcome Dean to Hershey's Mill via Zoom and look forward to his discussion and conversation with us this evening. So Dean, it's yours.
Thank you very much, Wilbur. It's really an honor and a pleasure for me to be speaking to the Hershey Mills Nature Group this evening, and on behalf of Bluebirds, and to share some of the work I do with Bluebirds and have been since I became president, and even before that. So about 15, 16 years I've been actively working with Bluebirds. My goal tonight is for you to learn a lot about me, not so much about a lot about me, more about Bluebirds than you learn about Dean Rust. Bluebirds are a lot more exciting, and I want to share with you and perhaps treat you to a closer look at Bluebirds so that you might know a lot about them, but I think you will pick up some nuggets tonight. And I want you to walk away saying, wow, I thought I knew a lot about Bluebirds, but I learned so much, and I'm so glad I attended. So with that, we'll get going. We'll shoot for 45 minutes, and then we'll have time for Q&A, and I look forward to that. So let's get going. First of all, Happy New Year. I'm hopefully that this year will be a lot better than COVID of 2020 was, but I will say this, the Bluebirds did very well in 2020. 7 of my trails hit all-time highs in their fledge numbers, and it was just remarkable for me to be out and about getting fresh air with Bluebirds, and I wasn't cooped up and couldn't go anywhere, but I did go out on my trails and I enjoyed it immensely. So Happy New Year, everyone. I know we're into it now, and today was a different day. Yesterday was beautiful, and today got a little rough out there. So everybody will appreciate this. I think there have been a few Bluebirds spotted that have masks on. They are social distancing as far as I hear, and they are coping with COVID-19 like we all are, but they're doing probably a little bit better than humans. So I thought you'd get a kick out of a Bluebird with a mask on. This is a photo, not mine. It was David Kinnear shot this. This is his telephoto lens. And Bluebirds, it shows you how interested they are in humans and what they're doing. And when he walked away from his camera, he came back a few moments later, 5 minutes, and they had gathered, quite a bunch of them had gathered and said, I wonder what this piece of equipment is. Kind of interesting that Bluebirds would, so it was a good close-up shot. One's landing and a couple are right there. Good shot of Bluebirds on a camera. The title of my presentation is The Ecology and Management of the Eastern Bluebird. it would be more apropos maybe to say what's not to like about a bluebird. This bird is totally loved by just about everyone in the continental US. And it is interesting that only North America has the bluebird. It's not found in Europe. It's not found in Asia. It's not found in Africa. It's only in North America, in Canada, and parts of Mexico, and Bermuda, of course. So what's not to like about the bluebird? This is a picture on my business card. We have a mom and dad here. Dad is feeding mealworms. If you haven't found out about the way to bribe them to your backyard is to use mealworms. And of course, the youngsters here are speckled and spotted, and they grow about as big as the adult in about 18 days, which is absolutely incredible. I do have a website. It's www.bluebirdconservation.com. You're welcome to go on this website. I have many stories, many articles that have been written, some technique-driven things that we wouldn't have time to talk about tonight, but peruse it at your leisure, www.bluebirdconservation.com. My son helped me put this in order back in 2012, and it's been a real help for my book and getting it out to the public as well. Okay, bluebirds go back several hundred years, like about 410 years. They go back to Jamestown, and they were here even before the settlers arrived in Jamestown in 1607. They were here with the Indians, and they were here even before the people that were here before the Indians. So bluebirds go back, have a very varied history, and not just back to your great-grandparents. They go back 410 years, back to Jamestown. And the Indians were here, of course, looking for them and what these white men were going to do. These settlers, these first Native Americans that arrived here from Europe, they didn't know what to think of this new found land. They found it rather hostile in many ways. They chose a very difficult place to live, a place that had malaria and mosquitoes, and the water wasn't good. Indians weren't that friendly, and they brought settlers over that really didn't know much about farming practice, and they had a very, very difficult first 100 years as they brought more and more ships over. But finally, they took hold and grew to like it. But there was a bird that they didn't know what it was, and they called it, for lack of a better, they knew what a robin was, and so they called this bird, this new bird that they weren't accustomed to in Europe, they called it the little blue robin because it was smaller and it was blue. And they learned to love this bird. And I think it got them through some of the rough times that settlers had in dealing with disease, malnourished, not having crops, hostile Indian, and poor health. Sometimes no doctors, no roads, and really a difficult life situation. But the bluebird, and this is an early representation of the bluebird, and it's not John H. Audubon, it's Mark Catesby. In about 1720, he sketched this bird, and it's known as the little blue robin. And it's not quite exactly what we see as a bluebird today, but it's pretty good. It's the first drawing, the first painting, the first watercolor of the little blue robin. This map shows you the distribution of our eastern bluebird, which is the bird we enjoy. There's also the western bluebird and the mountain bluebird. The western bluebird is found on the whole west coast, the westernmost coast of California, Oregon, Washington. The mountain bluebird is found in the Rockies at 6,500 foot elevation and above. But the lion's share of the country, up into Canada and down into Mexico, and even Cuba, it's not on this map, and Bermuda out here, is the eastern bluebird, and that's the bird we enjoy. The yellow indicates the summer-only range, and the blue indicates the winter-only range, and the green is the year-round range. of the species. So just to give you an idea, the eastern bluebird is the bluebird that we have, and that is probably almost 2/3 of the landmass of North America. Now, before we go any farther, I just want to give you this warning, and this warning will work for those of you who hike, who fish, who hunt, who bicycle, who just go outside and enjoy nature, camp. And it has to do with a little mosquito-like, that's a tick, and it will change your life. I bet everyone in this room has been affected or knows someone that's been affected in their family or their relatives or their neighbors that has had their life affected by the Lyme disease or the tick bite. And when you go outside, just use caution to be aware of this. I use an anti-tick every time I go out on all my exposed skin, but I go farther than that. I can spray clothing that's not been treated. I can spray it with this insect repellent that is good for maybe 6 weeks and several washings. You can get clothing today that has been treated with permethrin, and it's a natural ingredient that comes from, I think, the chrysanthemum, and it is anti-tick repellent. This is a shirt that has permethrin impregnated in it, and you can wash this shirt 60, 70 times. It still has the permethrin in it. They make socks, they make gaiters, they make handkerchiefs, they make hats, they make t-shirts, they make slacks. So it would behoove you, if you spend a lot of time outdoors like I do, probably from April till August, I spend 6 to 8 hours a day outside every day. I'm exposed to lots of tick bites, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep from getting a tick bite. And then concomitantly, I will get Lymes. Just a shirt might do it, or a hat, or slacks, or socks. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about your outdoor activities. You might want to add anti-tick repellent. This is a sign that's at some of the state parks. Wear repellent. It doesn't say wear proper clothing, but there is proper clothing to wear ex officio, and I can make that available. A lot of Dick's Sporting Goods has clothing now. I think LL Bean has clothing that has permethrin in it. That's the impregnation of the material of the fabric and the garment that you want. And shower, check yourself for tick bites, call your doctor if you see a rash. So those of you that spend time outdoors, and who doesn't like to, just be cautious, be careful. Okay, this is a shot from San Luis State Park in York County. It's the highest point in York County. It's about 950-foot elevation. Lancaster County at the airport's about 400. I don't know what you are down there in Westchester. I would think it would be somewhat the same. But this is a real high point in York County, and gorgeous view of the Susquehanna River from the West Bank. This is the Lancaster Country Club. This is where I hang out on Mondays during the nesting season, April through August. I was there this past Monday. I have 50 boxes there, and I would do this job as a volunteer. I would probably pay to do this job, to go on the course, 450 acres, spend 3 or 4 hours there every Monday when there's no golfers. Only the maintenance people are mowing and irrigation is going on. It's absolutely a stunning place. This is my backyard and a box that I have. This is a slot box that you don't see a lot of. Maybe you have some at Hershey Mills that are slots, or maybe you just have the 1.5-inch hole. I found this box to be, Bluebird boxes are a little bit like cars. There's a model for everyone. There's Chevys, there's Fords, there's Oldsmobiles. Well, Bluebird boxes, and everybody has their favorite one. And so, but Bluebirds don't care. As long as it's 4 inches by 4 inches floor space, and an opening to get into, and it's safe and dry and out of the wind and weather. They're happy with it. They're pleased with very little. But boxes, there's all kinds of varieties, and you'll see a couple other kinds other than this slot box. Here's our favorite pair. The male's on the left, and one easy way to tell the male is he has a blue head, and the female has a white head, a gray head, excuse me. So it's blue and white. She's also a little more muted and a little more, he's a lot bolder in his colors, and she is definitely more muted. When I go on my visits and check the trails, I'm trying to see if I can calm down that volume. I don't know if you can touch that volume or not. No, maybe it stopped. Okay. That's going to be annoying if that goes the whole time. Anyway, Canadian geese are a killdeer we see a lot of times when I'm on my trails. Killdeer in flight. Baltimore Oriole. Wood ducks. I have wood ducks right behind my house. I have some nesting some years I don't have them nesting. And you see the difference here between the male and the female. The female is very dull with just a white teardrop, white eye line, and the male is really decorated. This is a kestrel, American kestrel, sparrowhawk, beautiful bird, beautiful bird. This is a bluebird. A lot of people think they have a bluebird, but this is a tree swallow. And when they have this bird in their yard and they're all excited, this bird, he likes the same kind of a house that the bluebird likes, but it is a tree swallow. Here's a pair of them. The male's on the left, the female's on the right. European barn swallow. Scarlet tanager. Red cedar waxwing. Beautiful bird. A beautiful, beautiful bird. This is a red belly woodpecker. Here he is, not in flight. Bald eagle. Eastern kingbird. This is a gorgeous bird also. I see a lot of these in golf courses. Perhaps you see them at Hershey Mill. Eastern kingbird. Of course, hummingbirds. Anybody know what this bird is? Belted kingfisher. If you live on the river, you're going to hear, this is a noisy bird. This is a purple martin. So this particular pair of birds, my wife was looking at this pair, and they were nesting, starting to nest in February. It's about 18 degrees this morning. She actually caught this pair of birds doing a double wing wave. I'll show it to you later in the program. This is the male on the top. You see he's got the brighter blue. The female is much more muted. She's down below. And they do this thing where they wing wave each other. It's an endearment thing. And they notice each other and they say, hi, I like you. You're cute, or you're pretty, or you're handsome. And they do this twitchy thing of moving their wings. And I don't see a lot of birds doing that, but the bluebirds do it. There's a male feeding. Taking away the fecal sacs, the bluebirds are very fastidious in keeping their nest free and clear of debris and fecal material. They grab it in a bag, and as they feed the youngster, a lot of times it causes his stomach to constrict a couple times, and they can do a feeding, and they can actually take an excrement away all in one trip. It's kind of fun. Kind of saves a trip to the box. And what do they feed them so that they get this incremental growth that's just a marvelous growth in 18 days that an infant can become the size of the parent. They feed them beetles. They feed them caterpillars. That's a bright colored caterpillar. Crickets, spiders, ants, stink bugs, anything with protein in it, mayflies, grasshoppers. And that's a beautiful bird. And look really closely, just glance at the bird. You see the gray head, you know it's a female. You don't have to check the wings. You don't have to look beyond, just the head is gray. It's the female. The male coming in with something, and this is what he sees when he looks inside the box. Hungry nestlings sticking their head up, and they're looking for a snack, and he doesn't chop it in half. If it's a full caterpillar, they get the whole full caterpillar. Full cricket, he doesn't chop anything in half. They get the whole cricket. Gorgeous bird. This is a mayfly. There again, female, very muted color, almost faded look. It's meant, she's around the nest, and she's around the youngsters, the nestlings, and they don't want, you want to blend in with nature, and she blends in with nature a lot better than the male does. He's bright and bold, and everybody sees him when he flies in. Now, this picture right here, you can learn a lot. Focus at the male. Look very carefully what the male has in his beak. He has probably one blade of straw or grass. Look at what the female has in her beak. And it gives you some idea about who is really building and who is just using a token to build and who's really getting the job done. And it is the female. The female does 99.9% of the nest building. The male job is primarily to be a sentinel, to guard the roof, guard the box when she's inside with the nestlings, either incubating or laying an egg or feeding them. He's making sure nothing is jumping on top of the roof. So the male has his job and the female has her job. Now, this is a clutch of eggs, happens to be 6, and it has an interesting material in this particular nest. And I'll tell you where this nest was found. It was down at Susquehannock State Park, and there happens to be a lot of Amish go there to play softball and to play volleyball, and they have hitching rails. Now, that gives you a clue. Wilbur ought to get this. What is this in the nest? Wilbur, do you know?
Horsehair.
What?
Horsehair.
That's right. It's horsehair. It's a building material. And the mother bluebird, she is very creative, and she uses what is in her area. It might be pine needles. If she uses pine needles, she uses all pine needles. If she uses straw, she uses all straw. If she uses hay, it's all hay. It's homogeneous. The building material, she sticks with one theme, and that's what she puts. But here she liked the horsehair, and that gave the nest some strength. And I thought it was really interesting. You won't find this in many nests unless there's a hitching rail there. Now, this is an interesting picture. I want you to, this is the only picture I've ever seen of the mother bluebird's brood patch. This is an exposed layer of her belly that has no feathers on it. And during the nesting season, during the breeding season, when she's hatching eggs from April till August, she will have this brood patch, but it won't always be this evident. In fact, I've never seen it in a picture except this one. She uses that brood patch to incubate the eggs up to 99, 98, 99 degrees. And she could sit on them all day, and with her fur being so insulative, or with her feathers being as insulative as they are, the heat wouldn't get to the eggs. So the brood patch, the skin on egg brings them up to 99, 98, 99 degrees so that they will incubate. The male cannot do this job. Now, there are some birds that the male and the female both do the incubation. They share that, not the bluebirds. The female is the only one that has the brood patch. Very interesting picture. Now you wonder, you asked me, Dean, what does the male do? The female is building the nest, all of it. She's laying the eggs. She's incubating the eggs. She's even brooding the chicks after they've been born, because they're born altricial. That means without any clothing, just like we are. They're born without feathers. They're born nude, except for a little down on their back. And so what does the male do? Because the female does all this work. And I tell you, this is what he does. It's similar to what husbands do. They like to take naps. So he's taking a break. And it's a little joke on him. He does have a job. I told you what it was. He's the watchman. He's the guard. He's a centurion. He's the one keeping the other bluebirds safe while she's in the box. So now his nap is over. He's looking good. He's refreshed, his power nap, and now he's ready to get to that honeydew list. And his mate looks at him and says, "Boy, I thought you were going to sleep all day." I mean, you know, it's just like a man. You're supposed to do work, and you're taking a nap. So in Genesis, it says, Genesis 1:26, it says, God said, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness. Let them rule over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the air, over the livestock, over the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." Now, the bluebird could probably get along without man, but man, in helping them, and we do help them, we actually get to enjoy them and observe them. A lot of bluebirds that live in natural cavities, we never see them, and they never see people. But when they're in their backyard, they can relate to humans, and humans can relate to them. And it's a great bond that they have with each other. I would like to read a quote to you about, it's Harry Kruger. He said, and I'll read this: "The personal satisfaction and pleasure derived by participating in monitoring nest boxes is a reward money cannot buy. Whether you have one box or 50, the joy and excitement of seeing a new nest, then new eggs, and observing the nestlings is almost beyond description. Observing bluebirds in the nest box is a celebration of life, one of the many miracles afforded us in this world." So here's Mom busy. She's got a whole mouthful of building material. She's on staghorn sumac. This is one of her favorites in late winter, early spring. Some of the sumac that's left around. It makes a great picture. They eat the seed pods in the staghorn sumac. So that's the mother bluebird about her job. When I go on my trails, I like to take grandkids along. This was at Sam Lewis, and the kids need to get away from some of the handheld devices today and the TV and electronics, and get out and view nature and get fresh air and just enjoy and see God's creation. So this particular day, we're checking boxes, and we've got our notebook along to write down what we see. Every one of my 20 trails, nest box trails, bluebird trails, I have a notebook, and I keep meticulous records on what's happening in every box. And I think I've got their attention this particular outing. Another picture of eggs. Here they are. Jordan's doing the writing, and Trey is, and Silas is there working and having a great time. And yes, we hold the chicks. It doesn't hurt. Birds don't really have a sense of smell, so the mother is not going to abandon them if you hold them. But for this couple minutes that we hold them, it's probably the only time a human will ever hold them. And it's kind of fun. And kids just like to hold them and say, and they just nestle down. The temperature of the bluebird is like about 105. It's a lot warmer than we are, but it feels the warmth of our skin. It likes to settle in and nestle in with us. This one didn't get held that day, and you could see he's disappointed. Huh. I think Trey's having fun. Tyson's having fun. Jordan's a little scared. She's having fun. And even Grandma's having fun. This is my wife, Shirley. We've been married for 53 years. And we got married when we were really, really young. And she was with us on that outing today. And she likes to go with me on trails, really. She likes to come. She listens to my presentation at Hershey Gardens on Saturday. She's heard it many times, but she always learns something. She likes to go along. I screw my boxes down when I'm in public places. That doesn't stop people from mailing me things, though. They like to use the hole and send me a Beck lighter, send me a corn cob, send me a cigarette butt or a cigar butt. I don't know. I just, I make them high and I lock them down, but they still mail me things. And it makes a great way to relate with your grandkids or your great grandkids or your own children, is do a project with them and go check it occasionally and see how it's doing. And I learned something this particular day, that at 10 days old, you can you can decide what sex it is just by the tail feathers. This is a male, this is a female. And this is not my fingernail polish, this is my granddaughter, this is my hand, but you can see the extra blue that they're going to have in their wing feathers, the male on the right, but the female's on the left, more drab, but it's in the tail feathers at 10 days. Interesting. I don't know, but I think he's having fun. Trey had a great day, and they talked their parents' ears off when they get home about what they did with Grandpa and Grandma, and they're not as boring as we thought. So this is the handheld I mentioned earlier. Children spend way too much time on this and not enough time out in nature. I'm convinced of that. But if there's a way you can shift them and you use a Bluebird box to do it, put it up, build it together, put it up at their house, put it up at your house, put it up at the park and go check it. Fun thing, fun project. And here they go. Had a great time, great outing. And I'm getting about worn out because we're at just about box 20, and I'm ready to pack it in. I think it was 95 that particular Saturday. Another grandson's working on a trail here this is Atlantis Valley Museum. Another grandson, Reese, Murray Ridge Park. It's in Donnerville Road, West Lancaster. I never, ever get tired of looking at a clutch of eggs, looking back at me and shining up there. It's just, every time I see it, I'm just amazed that birds can lay eggs, they can incubate them, hatch them. It's fascinating. This is a pine needle nest, but a lot of times the mother will use a little bit of grass right in the base of the nest where the eggs are going to rest. So it's 95% pine needle, but a little bit of soft grass. And this particular pair did this group of 6 eggs, and their second, I thought they'd have 4 or 5. They had another 6. They provided 12. Right along 222 in Lancaster, right along a busy highway. Beautiful nest. Okay, fresh eggs. I told you they were born altricial. It means without covering, just skin, a little bit of down. And these are fresh guys. So has an eggshell helmet. And they're born and they're not precocious. They're not ready to swim. They're not like ducks. Ducks are born and in 6 hours they could be swimming. These guys can barely move their head for 2 days. You know what they look like. They look like they're death warmed over. But like I said, by day 18, they're as big as their parents. Okay, here's a younger version of Dean Rust at the Lancaster Country Club, checking a box. This was for an article for the Lancaster newspaper, and this was actually off a video clip. We can't play that. I don't think that. Yeah, it does play. Look at this. Amazing technology. Did you see my faux pas there? I had checked it in the morning and there were 4 eggs. And when we got there by 2 o'clock, that was in the morning, by 2 o'clock, there were 5 eggs. And when he panned in, I saw that he saw there were 5 eggs and people were thinking I can't count. So it's just a little glitch that happens, but it doesn't get edited when it goes to the paper. So this is a tree swallow nest. Tree swallow eggs are always white and they are more tapered. And they usually, the nest is very similar to a bluebird nest in the very early going, but then the white feathers come in and the eggs are white. And whether you're in Pennsylvania or New York or wherever you are, tree swallows do the same thing and you can recognize the nest. White eggs on white white feathers is a tree swallow nest. Some bluebirds lay white eggs, maybe 4%, maybe 5%, but that mother, it's in her DNA, it's genetic, and she will always lay the white egg, and wherever she goes the rest of her life. And her mother probably did the same as her grandmother did. This is black captivity eggs. This is always a moss nest, 2 inches of moss, and it has a cup or a divot in the moss and fur lined, and then they have a sizable clutch. This happens to be 8 eggs. There, my math is good. 8 eggs, and it's always the same. Black cap chickadee nests are either in, no matter what state you're in, they use the moss, they use the hole in the nest, and then the fur lined, and they cover their eggs a lot of times when they're going away for a couple hours to keep the eggs warm so predators don't see that there's eggs there. This is a takeover nest, and we won't talk too much about that. It started out to be a nice pine needle nest of a bluebird, and then some other bird came in, probably a house wren, chucked it full of sticks, and then the male did, and then the female puts a nest in the back corner. This is back to the Lancaster Country Club again. We'll play this one too for you.
Nothing's happening.
Dean, I think the video is not running.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened here. Can't get back on my PowerPoint. Sorry about that.
Christine, do you have any suggestions?
Here we go. I'm sorry about that.
So you can't move your PowerPoint forward or backward?
I'm trying to, I can't get back into my PowerPoint, I don't think.
Okay, well,
Oh, wait a minute.
there you go.
Yeah, now I can go through it maybe, but
Just do cancel. Now try.
I never had that happen. I didn't think the videos were going to play, which surprised me. So,
So I think they're just going to have to go down to where your last PowerPoint was and then click in.
Hit OK to get rid of the message.
okay. I didn't think those were going to play for us.
Well, that one didn't, so why don't you just skip that video and,
Oh, here we go.
yeah. Just go, why don't you, if that video is not going to play, just go to the next slide.
Okay. Okay, here's Junior leaving. Can you see the picture?
Yes, you can go to YouTube slideshow.
Okay.
Christine, on mine, I'm getting a box that says unable to start video with an OK button that maybe.
Yeah, I turned your video off because your picture kept popping up. Excuse me, I'll put you back on. But for some reason,
Okay, got it.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is a Junior. He just left. He's 18 days old. He doesn't know where he's going, and he's going to fly to the nearest tree. And all he knows how to do at this point in his life is to beg, and he begs for something to eat. It takes 3 weeks till they're on their own. Once they leave the nest, it takes another 3 weeks to get them fed and get them nourished until they're on their own and can forage for themselves. And that is Dad's job and the mother moves on with a new nest. And so here's the mother. It's got them all organized, all 5. She's got hungry chicks here outside the nest. 3 weeks it takes till they are on their own fully and can feed themselves. This is a house sparrow that can kind of ruin all your fun with bluebirds. We won't get into that. I've devised a system where I use a skylight box, kind of doesn't scare them away. I don't think they like the light, and bluebirds like the light, so they just go somewhere else. And I've cleaned up several trails with using skylight polycarbonate roofs in boxes. Snakes, they can be a problem. Raccoons can be a problem. Feral cats can be a problem. Weasels, Hawks, not so much. This is a
No.
problem sometimes. You build a nice nest and build a nice nest box and you polish it up and it's just perfect in every way, and you put it up and something like this happens and it gets taken over by squirrels. And how did they do that? And that's not what you had in mind. This also can happen. Maddie the coon dog can drop by and sit on your box, and she's not going to hurt the bluebirds. It's going to kind of cause a little problem with the feeding situation. So back to the parents, mom and dad. Mom's got all the building material. We won't talk too much about this. There's different things you can plant. Bluebirds like berries. If it's a winter berry, if it's a dogwood berry, if it's a juniper berry, if it's any kind of berry, boysenberry, they just love all kinds of berries. This is a winter tour viburnum nudum. They love these berries. Staghorn sumac, both younger in the summer and late in the winter. Mulberries, nannyberries, pokeweed. They love pokeweed. They love hollyberries. So if you have these plantings around and you wonder who eats these berries, bluebirds like them. I like pictures of bluebirds in the snow. That's a juniper berry. This is a longwood garden. It's a winter berry. This particular picture of the snow, and in my book, I have a lot of pictures of bluebirds in the snow, and we're having bluebirds stay all winter in Lancaster County. I've had bluebirds the last 5-6 winters, probably a family grouping of 8 or 10 hang around all winter. They don't migrate, they just stick around. Dog crate that screens out the bigger birds. This is the picture I was talking about earlier. The parents were double wing waving each other. That is a wing wave, but it's a wing wave like I've never seen. It's both wings up. So they're really head over tails of each other. And teasel, bluebird in the snow. And this is how bluebirds winter when it's 5 degrees at night and you're in your heated apartment with a electric blanket on and it's 5 degrees out. They keep warm by nestling together and with their heads out, and they use each other's body heat. Now remember, they're 105. They will warm up the interior of a box by maybe 15 degrees or so. So the inside of the box, if it's 15 degrees outside, they can warm it up to 30 inside just with all their little heat cells, and they can survive a cold winter night in Pennsylvania. That's my book, and it's a lot of information on how to do things right. And the last slide is this one, and we'll end with this slide. And if you can put out a water bath, a bird bath that's heated in the winter, you'll have lots of fun with birds. Birds get very thirsty when it's dry out and very cold, and they don't want to lose heat calories by eating snow, so they like a bird bath. And I've seen them take baths when it's 30, 32 degrees in the bird bath. I'd like to close with this quick quote. This is Doreen Scriven, and it's in the last page of my book. It says, "We hope this book will entice those who had never even thought of being caught by bluebirds. Be forewarned, once you have attracted that first beautiful devoted pair of bluebirds, you are trapped. Your life will change. You will be beguiled by their beauty, by their courtship, by their loving care of their young. The time you couldn't spare, in air quotes, will be spent watching them, worrying about them, constantly improving your trail, moving your boxes, solving problems, outwitting predators, and boasting to anyone who will listen that you have helped bring your own beautiful blue thrushes into the world." So, are there any questions that any of you have? And we can do the questions somehow through Christine. If you have a question about bluebirds, if I can't answer it, I will find someone that can. Anyone?
Dean, you might
Yes.
want to go out of your shared screen, get back on regular screen.
Okay. I can stop the share. I won't lose you.
No, we'll be here. Just stop the screen share.
Just hit the stop share.
Yes.
I don't,